So, hello everybody. Today I'm going to do something that I have done in the past, but I haven't done in a very long time in English, and that is I'm going to play a solo role-playing game module for Call of Cthulhu. As you all know, I really don't like the stuff that Chaosium puts out, and they are the producers of these solo games, and I've played Alone Against the Wendigo, I've played Alone Against the Darkness, but I don't know if I played Alone Against the Darkness here on the channel. And I've also played others offline. And generally speaking, they are really badly made. However, there is one that is for the Call of Cthulhu 7th edition, and it's called Alone Against the Flames. And the idea behind this one is that you also get taught the rules. So I've downloaded the PDF. I haven't printed off the PDF, but I have printed off an empty character sheet because that's what you're supposed to be doing. And let's hope that this one is better than the other ones that they've put out. It's copyright 2016, and it was written by Gavin Inglis. The sun is high in the sky, a merciless ball of heat. You feel scorched by the time you reach the bus halt in front of Osborne's drugstore. It's a relief to put down your heavy cases and take off your hat for a moment. You fan your face. It has been a long summer here in your hometown, and yet a curiously empty one. You look across the street at the grubby butcher's shop, the grocer's with its faded awning, and the shabby tobacconist. Mistrustful faces glare at you as they pass, eyeing your clothes and luggage. It was your parents' choice to live here, not yours. You were happy down south as a child, among Providence's white-walled houses and leafy churchyards. Perhaps this new job in Arkham will supply the change you need. Yet everybody you know in the world lives here. You know nobody in Arkham, not one soul. You ask yourself one last time if you're doing the right thing. The answer is here. None of your supposed friends have come to see you off. You are alone. Whatever challenges lie in Arkham, it'll be a new life, and a brave one. A small grey motor coach approaches and rattles to a stop. You put your hat back on and pick up your cases. Go to 263. So we were at 1, and now we're going to 263. Two young men with sullen expressions alight from the coach. One looks you up and down before heading away. The driver also steps down, glancing at you before crossing the road to visit the tobacconist. When he returns, he's rolling a cigarette between his yellowed fingers. He gives it a final twist and examines you as he reaches for his matchbox. He is a thin man in his 50s, dressed in a stained shirt with the bus company emblem. Yet, his eyes are sharp in their dark sockets. Where to? You show him your ticket for Ossipee. From there, you will connect to Rochester and Portsmouth, before the coastal line to Newburyport, and finally Arkham. You should be able to afford a rail ticket for at least some of the way. Otherwise, this will be the first of many long bus trips. The driver scratches the match and lights his cigarette. The end flares as he takes a draw. Then he exhales and gestures to the back of the coach. Luggage rack's up there. Look at your investigator sheet. At the top you have spaces for 8 characteristics: strength, constitution, power, dexterity, dex, appearance, app, size, intelligence, and education. Allocate the following values among them and writing them in the large square beside each. So we've got 40, 50, 50, 50, 60, 60, 70, 80. If you would like more information, no, we don't, because we know how this works. So we're going to give ourselves... Okay, so I'm somebody who's very intelligent. So I have a lot of education, 80, and I've got 70 in intelligence. I'm not the most dexterous. My appearance is 40 because that's the one that, you know, who cares about that? So then we've got strength. Constitution is 60, size is 60, strength is 50, and then we have 50 for dex and 50 for pow. When you have done that, go to 8. So this, the idea is that this also teaches you how to build a character and, well, not really teaches you how to build a character, but you get to build a character as you play, and then hopefully you will understand how the stats work. It doesn't really give you the background to them. The driver smokes and watches as you drag your cases to the back of the motor coach. The rack is set inconveniently high on the vehicle. You get a grip on the heavier case. If your size is 40, which it isn't, go to 23. If your size is higher than this, go to 38. Okay, so that's an interesting mechanic. So the way they're doing this is actually not too bad. The driver continues to enjoy his cigarette, watching with keen interest as you struggle with the cases. He's a moron. You grit your teeth and heave the second one into place. Perhaps the residents of Arkham will have better manners. Well, I mean, they usually do. I mean, this is not Innsmouth after all, so yeah, you're probably going to be fine there. 233. The driver flicks a cigarette into the gutter and steps into the motor coach. Its engine coughs into life. You board, grateful that you will be the only passenger for the initial part of your trip at least. With mixed emotions, you watch from the window as the tired avenues of your old home slip behind you, receding into the distance. For a few minutes, you can still see the church spire over the brow of a low hill. Then the road dips, and it too is gone. Arkham is your new home. You will travel there and make a new start. You will see 2 smaller boxes to the right of each characteristic value. Halve each value, rounding down, and write the result in the upper right box. So for strength, that would be 25, con would be 30, size would be 30, dex would be 25, appearance would be 20, education would be 40, intelligence would be 35, and power would be 25. Also divide each value by 5, again rounding down. So for strength that would be 10. That would be for con, it would be 12. Size would be 12. Dex would be 10. Appearance would be 8. Education would be 10. 16. 14 for int, and power would be 10 as well. In the strip below, you will see tracks that record sanity and magic points. Beginning sanity is equal to your original POW, so that would be 50 in our case. So we're just gonna mark that. And our magic points are 10, because our power is 5 and the magic points are that divided by 5. Okay, so good. Then go to 134. The coach putters through the countryside. At first, the interior is stifling and your stomach lurches with every bend in the road. However, the driver opens his window, and by switching seats, you find a spot where the breeze hits your face. You soon relax into the journey, observing the quaint little hamlets that the coach serves, and a heavy-set woman boards at one settlement and gives you a polite nod. She gets off at the next one. The road rises a little, passing cornfields and orchards. The leaves are turning and the trees are alive with glorious reds and golds. You have just begun to doze when the driver takes a tight bend. At speed. Oh my god. Add size and con together, then divide the total by 10. So our size is 60 and con is 60. It's 120 divided by 10 is 12. Rounding down. This is the starting value of your hit points. So we're going to circle that, 12. Mark it on your investigator sheet. Your current total may drop, but it's unlikely to exceed the starting value. You also have a luck score. Roll 3 six-sided dice. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and I rolled a 9, a 12. Multiply your 3d6 roll by 5. So that's 60. That's actually not too bad. This is one of my luckier characters. So yeah. Now you must make a roll against your dex. Roll 1d100. Okay, and we rolled a 0, 1. Woohoo! Unfortunately, you can't see this, but this is actually true. I rolled a 1. This means roll blah blah blah. If you rolled equal to your dex or less, you passed the roll. If you rolled greater than your dex, you failed the roll. You may be tempted to skip such rolls and simply pretend you always pass, but Call of Cthulhu is a game of mystery and horror. Yeah, well, we don't really cheat. 261 if we passed our roll, which we did. I mean, we critted that roll. I mean, this was masterful dexterity. So basically, we probably didn't fall off the seat or something. 261. Let's see where we are. I prefer actually playing these with a book, but of course I'm not going to print off a PDF that has like a cream-colored background because it's going to kill my printer. A desperate yell awakens you. You feel yourself slide from the seat as the driver spins the wheel and the motor coach plunges off the road. Oh, great. You grab hold of the seat in front of you just in time to prevent a painful fall. The coach stops with a thump. Now you see what has happened. A Fordson tractor has stopped in the road and your driver has had to swerve to avoid the obstacle. He leaps from his seat into the road, unleashing a string of curses at the farmer. You take a moment to catch your breath. Perhaps you should offer assistance, but the driver has already returned. He backs the coach up a little and threads it around the tractor, glaring at the farmer. Go to 71. Okay. He's probably in shock. That's why he overreacted. Let's see, 71. Here we are. You resume your journey. The driver takes the curves with more caution than before. He glances over his shoulder at you a couple of times. Sorry about before, he says. That fellow was dumber than a hog. I'm Silas. What's your name? The accident was at least as much Silas's fault as the farmer's, but it doesn't seem shrewd to antagonize the man while he's driving you through the middle of nowhere. Make up a name for your character and record it on your investigator sheet. You may add your age. For the purposes of this adventure, your character should probably be aged between 23 and 36. So we're going to be Mabel Javelin. That's one I made up. And I'm 36 and I'm female. The coach turns onto a narrower road which weaves uphill through the woodlands. Silas becomes chatty. Going to Arkham, eh? Can't say I've ever heard of the place. Went to Boston once. Didn't like it. Too much hustle and bustle. You got family there? A special someone waiting? The afternoon is wearing on. You see no harm in confiding in Silas about your new life. A job, ah? So what's your line? Choose an occupation of your character from the following options. If you're an antiquarian, go to 102. If you're a doctor of medicine, go to... We're going to be a doctor of medicine, 226. I've always wanted to be a doctor. So a doctor of medicine. 226. Gynecologist. He's going to love that. You mentioned the residency you will be taking up at St. Mary's Hospital. Yeah, that's where all the crazy people go if they need to be blessed. The institution is well regarded, and you are both thrilled and slightly uneasy at the range of patients and maladies it receives. Still, as an old professor of yours who used to say, by practice alone you can become an expert. A doctor, eh? Folks will always be needing those. That's true. Did you catch a note of distrust in Silas's voice, or are you just being paranoid? Your credit rating skill is 30%. Your occupation skills are first aid, other language, Latin, okay. You may also pick to other skills, not Cthulhu mythos, as relevant academic or personal specialties. Allocate the following values among these occupational skills. So we're going to give ourselves... Okay, so let's see. Medicine is 0-1 to begin with. So we're going to put 70 into this, so that's going to be 71. We have first aid at 30 already, so we're going to give this 50%, so we're at 80 there. We're going to take biology at 60. So let's take this down. So we've spent the 70, we've spent the 50. We're going to take okay, so we've spent the 70, we've spent one of the 50s. Then we're going to take biology, and I don't know where that is actually. Where is it? Science. Okay, science, biology. So we're going to take this at 60, so we're at 61 there. We're going to give ourselves science pharmacy at 60 as well. We're going to give ourselves psychology at 50. So that brings the total there up to 60. And then we're going to give ourselves language other Latin at 51. And then we've got 2 40s left. And what are we going to spend this in? We're going to use, oh, well, of course, I mean, we definitely need spot hidden, so that's 65. And we're going to give ourselves our own language, English, is at 80. Yeah, I suppose we're going to give this 40, the other 40 to listen, so we're at 60 there. Okay. Ignore any starting value already mentioned on the investigator sheet. Oh yeah, we didn't do that. That's fine. So 128. So we'll have to do this again. So this one then would be 50. 40, 70, 50, 50, 40, and 60 and 60. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Good. 128. You realise Silas hasn't made a stop since the incident with the tractor. The motor coach winds its way uphill. However, your thoughts are interrupted as the road crests a ridge and you are treated to a magnificent view of the vista below. A creek snakes through the valley, breaking the rich autumn palette of the tree line. In the distance, the white mountains rise into hazy cloud. There is no settlement, not even a cabin as far as the eye can see. Birds drift through the treetops, and you can just make out what might be 2 white-tailed deer lingering by the water. Perhaps you are making a mistake by moving to the city. Could you survive on your own in this lush wilderness? You have a base ability in most skills, listed in brackets, after the skill name on the Investigator Sheet. For instance, you have 20% in climb and a base dodge equal to half your dex. So we're going to add the half dex, which is 50, so we have a base dodge of 25. Choose 4 skills which are not your occupation skills, nor Cthulhu mythos. These are your personal interest skills. Boost each of these by 20. I would say natural world is 1. Library use would be another. Why not actually climb as well? Because personal interest, I mean, I can't very well choose something like listen or locksmithing because that's not a personal interest. And then I'm going to give myself firearms, handguns. No, firearms, rifle. No, firearms, handguns. 40. Okay. Good. Now 144. The motor coach rattles on through the hills and Silas lapses into silence. The sky darkens behind you, pinks tinting the clouds as the sun descends. Finally, a welcome sight comes into view. A settlement on the crest of a hill. This doesn't look like the pictures you've seen of Ossipee, but perhaps you can persuade Silas to stop while you stretch your legs. Minutes later, a harsh stuttering from the engine interrupts your reverie. Silas frowns and rattles the gear stick. The motor coach falters in its ascent. Silas utters a curse you don't recognize and grinds his teeth, struggling at the wheel. You seem to inch up the hill until you reach the first buildings, low dwellings constructed from a rough red stone. Silas wrestles the coach into a small bay off the road. He scrambles from his seat and makes for the engine department. You must now choose to make a roll against drive, auto, or psychology. We're going to choose psychology. If you choose psychology, you need a hard success, so we would be looking at 25. And we get a 65. We didn't do it. If you fail your roll, go to 194. Silas opens the engine compartment Silas opens the engine compartment. Oh, there's an open to many, and sticks his head inside. The hot metal pops and sizzles. He pokes at various components, then withdraws and wipes his brow, smearing it with dark grease. I ain't sure what's wrong. Might be the oil pressure, might be something knocked off kilter when we took that spill. Can't do much until the engine cools neither. And with the light failing, I reckon we'll be here through the night. He wipes his hands on a rag. Oh, that's brilliant. The shadows from your surroundings are already long and the air is chilly. You feel stiff from the journey and a night in the rickety coach sounds unappealing. Silas sees your dismay. This here's Emberhead, miles from any place I only come through twice a week, but the folks here are good people. Maybe May Ledbetter keeps a spare room. She'll look after you. Up that alley, turn right, first house on the left. He scratches his cheek, looks again into the engine compartment and spits on the ground. Meet me back here at 8 in the morning and we'll see how things stand. So we can either look for May Ledbetter's house, or we can ask Silas where he will be spending the night, or we can challenge Silas about the breakdown. I'm not going to do the last one, but I am going to ask where he's going to stay, because I am kind of concerned. I mean, what is he going to do? 251. You ask about Silas's plans. He gives the engine a sour glance before answering. I've got acquaintances here in the village, reckon. One of them owes me a favour. Enough for bed and breakfast in any case. He stares at his grubby hands. Probably won't stretch to a hot bath. You don't seem to have a lot of options. You fetch your cases from the back of the motor coach. The last thing you need is for all your worldly possessions to disappear into some stranger's hovel overnight. Well, I'm a distrustful person, aren't I? 267. I wouldn't have taken everything, I believe. I don't know. 267. Here we are. You drag your cases between the sullen buildings. You feel surprisingly weary, considering you have spent all day sitting down. Silas's directions led you to a modest dwelling with a slate roof. A name reads Ledbetter, and underneath a sign in neat copper plate reads Lodging Room. The lane around you is gloomy, but a lamp flickers in the window. A breeze chills your face. You're not about to begin your new life by sleeping in the street. You rap on the weather-beaten door. Go to 4. So let's see. After a moment, you hear footsteps inside the house. A bolt is drawn back and the wooden door swings open. A figure with loose curls and a rough-looking house dress peers at you. Her gaze takes in your traveling suit and your cases. Her voice has a slight Irish lilt. Hello, should I take it as you're looking for a room for the night? Ledbetter definitely isn't an Irish name. You inquire as to her rates, suppressing a grimace. As far as you've seen, the village doesn't offer you many alternatives. Oh, you'll find I'm very reasonable, she says. You look tired. I'm May. Come inside and we'll talk over a cup of coffee. Tea, of course. The Ledbetter house feels cramped, with a low ceiling and simple fittings, but it is well kept and a cheerful fire crackles in the grate. The aroma of the tea is soothing and the cup warms your fingers. Have you come to Emberhead for the festival? Asks May. You explain what happened with Silas and the coach. Or you ask about the festival. I'm going to ask about the festival. You know, I can talk about the coach at any time, but this festival is something that I hadn't heard about. I mean, there's a festival in this neck of the woods. I mean, what do? Sacrifice people to goats? Well, now I suppose the festival is out about the only reason folks come to Emberhead. I thought you had maybe come to study it or take photographs. And that's almost Scottish. Well, it's not tomorrow night, but the night after. I suppose it looks very strange to a passerby. May tops up your tea. The spout chinks against your cup. We've got the beacon, you see. One night every year, there's a torchlit procession and we light the beacon on the cliffs. You've never seen the like of it. They say it keeps the spirit of the village alive for another year. It's a celebration, a celebration. She tails off for a moment and blinks. But you didn't come here to listen to me blather. You must be hungry. I can rustle you up with a bit of stew. I can rustle you up a bit of stew. How would that be? You ask again about the rates, and May names a price so low you accept it without hesitation. Well, I guess either I'm going to be part of the stew or I'm going to be burnt in that beacon. So this is actually the Wicker Man, probably. The room is small but comfortable, and the stew dark and hearty. After dinner, you have a couple of hours before your usual bedtime. To talk to May some more, go to 31. To walk around and get your bearings, go to 75. Or to turn in for an early night, go to 63. Well, this is Call of Cthulhu. We're going to go for a walk. Because, nothing ventured, nothing gained. 75. May's brow creases when you announce your intention to take a stroll. Mind how you go, she says. Emberhead's surrounded by cliffs and we don't have your fancy street lamps here. Take the lantern and watch your step. Outside, you see what she means. The sky is overcast and only a few glimmers of moonlight peek from the clouds. Without the heavy lantern, you would be walking in near total darkness. You cannot hope to get an overview of the village tonight. Maze Street is a narrow passage hemmed in by squat, dark dwellings. At the end, however, it opens up. A wide thoroughfare leads off to your right. A crude sign names it Silbury Street. To the left, a few yards away, your light picks out the crooked posts of a simple fence, and beyond that, the ground drops away into the darkness. You take a couple of steps closer, but you can see nothing. Air from below cools your face. Then some instinct makes you look around. Okay, I am not liking this. 86. An ink-black figure stands in the road. About 20 yards behind you, it stares at you. You form the sudden impression that it will run at you and throw you off the cliff edge. This is unsettling. Seeing it has been spotted, the figure slips down an alley. To return to the safety of the Ledbetter house, go to 100. To confront the dark figure, go to 121. Well, I'm a doctor. I'm a lady doctor, a gynecologist. I'm not going to confront any dark figures outside at night. 100. Here we are. You flee back down the narrow street, the lantern swinging in your grasp. You reach the door and pound it urgently. May is surprised to see you so soon. The air up here can tire you out if you're not used to it, she says. You glance back once before you close the door. The dark figure is standing against the wall at the end of the street, still staring at you. Or is it? The murk may be deceiving your eyes. You slide the heavy bolt into place. May has settled back into her chair, but now she blinks and yawns. I believe I'll turn in. When would you like your breakfast? Go to 63. As May stands, you hear a clunk behind you. You look over your shoulder, but all you can see is a wooden door secured closely. May tuts. The young lady of the house, she'll have been listening to us. Ruth, come and greet our guest. There's a short pause, then the door creaks open. Two wide eyes peer at you from the gap between tousled hair and a rough nightgown. What do you say? The eyes blink. Pleased to meet you. Now go back to bed. The door closes again. My daughter Ruth, 10 years this summer. She's a delight and a torment all in one. Don't worry, she sleeps in with me. She'll not disturb you. Good night now. You retire to your room. It's a little chilly, but you are too tired to worry about lighting the fire. The sheets are clean and the bed soon warms up. The silence outside is strange after living in a town for so long, but you soon drop off. Now go to 154. You dream of fire in the grate, coruscating colours shimmering through the dancing tongues of flame. At first they are tiny, almost microscopic, but they grow and grow until a kaleidoscopic inferno spills from the fireplace, spreading across the floor, up the sheets. You wake with a start. Daylight glints through the curtains. You get up and examine the grate, blinking the sleep from your eyes. It is quite cold. If you've taken any damage, you may heal 1 hit point back for your night's sleep. Well, we haven't so far. Maybe we would have if we had followed that dark figure. So now we go to 166. After a quick glance around to be sure you are unobserved, you look back along the avenue. The entire village is intent upon the beacon. Their chanting reaches a new fevered pitch. You cannot say exactly why, but you get the impression something's wrong. The chant begins to break and the villagers sway. What? No, that's wrong. Sorry, that was 168. May seems to have no running water but has supplied some in a ceramic jug. You freshen up at the washstand and go in. She cooks a hearty breakfast and leaves you in peace to eat. At about 7:30 you are paid up, packed and ready to go. You bid May goodbye. She wishes you the best for your new career in Arkham. If you succeed at a skill roll last night and wish to investigate the results further, go to... No, we didn't. Otherwise, go to 192. So that's interesting. I like that one. The fact that, you know, you may have because I mean, obviously this is on the one hand teaching you how to play, but I also review and look at this from the perspective of, is it a good solo adventure? And so far, this is a lot more charming than any of the old stuff. So maybe they have improved upon their solo adventures. You're already tired of your heavy bags. Hopefully Silas has repaired the motor coach and you can resume your long journey. A sourpuss he might be, but the old driver seemed to understand his vehicle well enough. You pause to check your watch, still 20 minutes early, and round the final corner. The motor coach is gone. You put your bags down and search the area, trekking up and down slopes and around corners. At the edge of the village, you trace the long road back as it winds across the hills. 8 o'clock comes and goes. There is no coach to be seen. A passing villager notices your bags. Looking for the bus? I heard him take off at first light. He's due back in 3 or 4 days. If you need a place to stay, May Ledbetter rents a room. The man raises his hat to you and strolls on into the village. You curse Silas under your breath. Perhaps he went for parts, but you wonder if the old goat has stranded you here on purpose. Yes, well, this is Call of Cthulhu. He probably has. 218. May is doing laundry and looks surprised to see you again. Forgot something? Then you explain the situation. She offers to store your bags while you try to arrange alternative transport. You are grateful to relinquish the load. Nobody here has anything like a car. She strokes her chin and narrows her eyes. Maybe you could find somebody with a horse and a cart for your bags. I could ask around later. Try Mr. Winters in the village hall. He'll know if anyone will. Or ask among the artisans. Their workshops are first left on Silbury Street. She reaches over and squeezes your wrist. Don't worry. I won't see you sleeping in the street. Money or no money. You thank May and turn to face the village. Oh, goody. 6. You wander the streets of Emberhead without any particular destination in mind. The village is built on a relatively flat upland with splendid views. To the north, the hazy tips of the White Mountains reach for the heavens. To the south, the sparkling waters of Lake Winnipesaukee touch the horizon. The village itself takes less than 5 minutes to cross from edge to edge. You arrived on the winding road to the west. The only other road leads to the south, following a lower ridge of land as it turns east. In the southwest of the village, an open grassy space borders a ruined church, its graveyard cresting the cliffs. To the northeast, the 3 main thoroughfares meet at a raised black metal structure. It looms stark against the blue sky. You may now ask about transport at the local general store, seek out the village hall, walk down to the lower level and check out the eastern road. Examine the large metal structure, explore the church, look for local people, a local shop for local people, with their own transport needs. Okay, so I'm trying to find people who also need to get out. Well, probably there aren't any. Okay, so I suppose I will go and ask about transport at the local general store, and I will go to 16. Because that makes sense, because that's my purpose. I don't really care about any structures at this stage. I'll probably end up caring about lots of structures, and I'll probably end up on one, but we'll see. So, let's go to 16 then. And we have a cat that wants to join in too. Now come. Okay, so now, armed with a cat, what could possibly go wrong? Well, everybody who owns a cat knows nothing could go wrong when you have a cat with you because they scare off all of the monsters. So 16 tells us the following thing. The general store is on a corner beside the main road just before it plunges to the south. The shopkeeper is a brisk, immense lady with a starched apron and strong shoulders. She looks hard at your unfamiliar face. Transport? There's a motor coach comes through twice a week. Missed it? Truck brings in my supplies every second Tuesday, but it's not due until next week. She shrugs. It seems Emberhead is content to keep its distance from the outside world. You have enough money to buy 1 or 2 inexpensive everyday items. Note them down on your investigator sheet. Remember the year is 1927. The shop stocks no weapons except a dusty hunting knife, which you may purchase if you want. That would be brawling if I were to use it. And my brawl is, 25%. So yes, we are going to, if somebody offers you a knife or any kind of real weapon when you're playing Call of Cthulhu, you take the knife. You do, because, you never know. So we're going to add a knife to our list of things, and I think that's all we're going to buy. I mean, what else could we use? Everyday items. I doubt that she's got a compass. Inexpensive everyday items. You know what? We're going to buy a box of matches. This is everyday, and this should be inexpensive, so we have those. And then we go to 25. So 25 reveals the following. You're beginning to get your bearings in Emberhead. That's good, so we're not just stumbling around like a bumbling idiot. Would you like to explore some more? Yeah! You may choose another option from those below. Do not repeat a previous choice. Once you have tried 4 options, or before that, if you are ready to move on, go to 3. We've been to 16. We can seek out the village hall. We can walk down the lower level and check out the eastern road. We can examine the large metal structure, or explore the church, or look for local people with their own transport needs. Something tells me that no matter what, we're not going to get out of here, because that's where the story is set. So we're going to go to the village hall in 84. So we have 4 options. And then we have to go to 3. The question is, does this... It does. So we went to 16. So now we're going to 84. So that's option 2. We will just note them down. So we're going to make a decision now. We're going to go to the village hall 84. We're going to go to the church, of course, as well. And should we go to the large metal structure or check out the eastern road? We're going to go to the large metal structure, 57. And then it is 3 from there. So let's go to 84 first. The village hall backs against a cliff at the east end of Silbury Street. It's the largest building you've seen so far in Emberhead. It is, however, locked and shuttered. You walk around it, peering through gaps in the shutters. There seems to be one large room, presumably for community meetings, and a smaller annex, which serves as an office or an archive. One of the windows is bricked up. Back at the main door, you can see no posted opening hours. Mr. Winters doesn't open up mornings this time of year, says a grey-garbed woman passing by. Best come back this afternoon. You ask whether the office has a telegraph. I don't know, she shrugs. Who would we call? You'll have to try again later. Okay, so they are as backwards as one gets. Okay, so next would be 25, which is where we were just now. So we're going to go to 34 directly, because there's really no point in actually going back to 25. You cross the street towards the church. As you glance to your left, your gaze alights on the large metal structure. Something bothers you about its positioning. You back up and look again. Yes, Emberhead's central thoroughfare points directly at the structure. This seems too precise to be a coincidence. You press on and draw into the shadow of the church. The building is in a sorry state. The top of the steeple is missing, a ragged gash of splintered boards marking its absence, and the floors beneath it have collapsed. Now that's a God-fearing place, if I've ever seen one. It appears to have torn through the roof of the main building as it fell. Only the back half is still intact. The white paint, which once covered the church, has yellowed and peeled. It seems safe enough to explore the rear section. Old pews are stacked against the wall, choked with mildew. Most of the windows are broken. You guess this church has been disused for about 20 years. There is little more of interest to see. Make a ride roll with a bonus die. I've got a 5% chance. Okay. Well, a 13 and a 23, so I failed, but the rolls were not too bad. If you succeed, go to 46. We didn't, or go back to 25, so that's where we just were. So we're going to go to 57, and then it's going to be 3 from there. You walk up the approach, the most central of the village's major streets. It points directly at the odd metal structure. As you emerge from the shade of the nearby buildings, you are greeted by a magnificent panorama spread from the north to the southeast. The last colours of fall tint the hills in a sleepy gold. The structure, by contrast, is made from uncompromising iron, singed black. It supports an immense curved platform at the level of your head. Further struts snake up to a central point. It looks like they may have been some kind of sculpture at one time, but are now twisted and melted beyond recognition. That's a metal wicker man, if I've ever seen one. An older gentleman passes, looking up at you with rheumy eyes. "Are you here for the festival?" he asks. "That's the beacon. When they light it, night after the next, you'll be able to see it 10 miles away." "Yeah, I bet I will." He gives a little nod of satisfaction, then moves on, leaning on his walking stick. Now you notice bundles of wood tied and stacked against the buildings nearby. Perhaps this festival would be an interesting diversion, but you really must head on to Arkham as soon as possible. Make a spot hidden roll. So, our spot hidden. We rolled a 23, that should be enough. And it is, because we've got 40. So, so we go to 69. And we must not forget to go to 3. 69. As you walk away from the iron structure, you notice something strange about the construction of the village. All the wooden dwellings are concentrated in the west and southwest. To the east and northeast, closest to the beacon, the buildings are formed from dark brick and clay. Does this mean the settlement began at the beacon and spread west? Why is that the case? I'm not sure why I would make that. So essentially, okay, you may check mark the small box beside the spot hidden, because we passed a and we go to 25, and from there we go to 3. Okay. Your morning exertions have left you hungry, I bet. You roam the streets of Emberhead looking for sustenance. There is nothing resembling the busy cafes of your hometown or anything that might be called a restaurant. It's beginning to look like you will have to get supplies from the general store when May Ledbetter comes down the street with a girl trailing in her wake. This must be Ruth. As she notices you, she races past her mother and approaches you with a smile. This is a different Ruth from the shy creature of last night. As she reaches you, she stops and stretches her arms up in celebration. She looks up into your eyes. Abruptly, the smile drops from her face and she looks several years older. "Get out before the festival," she hisses. "Get out." She blinks hard, then scuttles back towards her mum. May approaches, wrapping an arm around her daughter's shoulders. She smiles. "How are you getting on? Have you found transport?" Startled, you explain the frustrations of the situation. "I try Mr. Winters in the village hall. He's always in of an afternoon. You'll be hungry by now. Help yourself to any food in the house. The door's not locked." You glance at Ruth, where she has squirreled herself behind her mother's leg. Her eyes implore you to silence. We can either ask Ruth about what she said, or we can ask May about what Ruth said, or we can say nothing and go to 22. We're not going to say anything because this is majorly weird. And unfortunately, this is, of course, metagaming because Call of Cthulhu, we know there's some evil afoot, and this girl is probably in the know, and she knows that we're going to be sacrificed to someone. You take your leave of the Ledbetters and head towards the house. The door opens easily. In the low kitchen, you make a meal from stodgy bread and leftover stew. Oh, that Sounds perfect. A little window offers a view of the mountains. If you learned one thing this morning, it was that Emberhead streets hold little to occupy the visitors from out of town. Yeah, it's terribly boring. However, there are still about 5 hours of daylight remaining. You could take some provisions and the bare essentials from your luggage and set out in the hope of reaching another settlement before dark. Or you could ask advice from this Mr. Winters. Should we prepare and walk out of town? Or should we talk to this Mr. Winters? Okay, so I believe I won't be walking out of town because I don't know the lay of the land. I've never seen a map of this part of the country, so I don't know how far I would have to walk. I could end up somewhere, anywhere in the middle of nowhere. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to the village hall instead. That would be 11. The village hall overlooks the lower north ridge of the village. You walk along Silbury Street to find it, conscious of the oppressive black metal structure framed at the end of the road. The shutters of the hall are open and some windows are left ajar. Okay, so obviously he's come in now. There is no knocker, but a little bell over the entrance tinkles as you push the front door. Inside, a sturdy door to your right is marked private. To your left, an opening leads to a bright room. You take a few steps inside. Benches line the walls and there are 2 notice boards mounted between the windows. To examine the notice boards, go to 17. To knock on the closed door, go to 24. Okay, I am nosy by nature. We are going to look at those weird notice boards because I do want to know what's going on here because this is a really weird town, 17. The floorboards creak beneath you as you cross the room. You feel a slight spring in your step. Perhaps this room is used as a gymnasium for the village children. One notice board appears to be for the adults of the community and one for the children. The former looks neglected, featuring handwritten advertisements for household items and a yellowed note about telegraph pricing. So they do have a telegraph. There is nothing about the festival, though. The children's notice board has a schedule for a weekly creche, even back then. And a number of paintings obviously done by the children themselves. Most are incoherent, though colourful. As best you can tell, they depict fireworks or perhaps the tale of Joseph from the book of Genesis. Okay, I've got no idea what that is. One has a lost pin and hangs upside down. One has lost a pin and hangs upside down. It shows a giant bird attacking Emberhead. Or it might simply be that the artist has not yet mastered the subtleties of scale. Make a spot hidden roll. And we roll a 06. Woohoo, that's definitely a pass because we got 40. If you succeed, go to 30. As the afternoon sun hits the floor, you notice something curious. The boards under the windows are newer than the boards in the center of the floor. The frames also show signs of having been replaced in the recent past. Perhaps rain leaked in and rotted the wood. Okay, so you may check mark the small. We've already done that because we passed one earlier, so we're going to go to 37. Okay, so the door scrapes behind you. A middle-aged, bespectacled gentleman appears in the doorway. May I help you? You explain you are visiting on May Ledbetter's recommendation. Ah, well, I'm Clyde Winters. I'm not sure I can help you, though, but would you care for some coffee? I'm partial to a cup in the afternoon. He gestures to the open door behind him. This seems like a worthwhile opportunity, and you are a little thirsty. Go to 43. So that's us. Yeah, totally. We want coffee. You step through the door marked private. The other side of the village hall is in marked contrast to the public space. The room is compact, lined with shelves of books and file alcoves. One corner is reserved for a tiny pantry and what is presumably a water closet. You study Mr. Winters as he fills the percolator. Although thin on top, his hair is oiled and neatly swept back. His suit is a sober affair, and well-tailored, even if the cut is a little old-fashioned. A lesser man working alone might have loosened his bow tie for comfort. On the desk against the opposite wall, you notice what looks like a telegraph set. You can either ask about the telegraph immediately, or you can talk with Mr. Winters first and do some small talk. I actually don't think I would do small talk because I am on a mission, so I would go to 56 and ask about the telegraph immediately. The telegraph? Much as we value our isolation, we do need the link sometimes. You were hoping to send a message? I must apologize. The line has been down for 2 weeks now. I reported the fault, but of course they're not so speedy when the problem lies in a rural area. I'm expecting a repair the day after next. I do appreciate how frustrating this must be. The coach is due in, 3 days? But I think he's going west. Perhaps you might engage a wagon. One of the farmers might. You explain that you've asked a few of the residents already, but to no avail. I tell you what. Winters pours you a steaming cup of coffee. The dark liquid smells rich and strong. When the repair crew arrive, I'll ask them to take you back with them. How would that be? They might want $1 or $2 to grease the wheels. The day after tomorrow. It's less than ideal, but it's the first real opportunity you've had. We can now thank him and leave, or we can ask about his library. We are going to ask about his library because we do want to kind of like do a little bit of, make a little bit of conversation and small talk. You make a small but flattering remark about a couple of the volumes on his shelves. Winters blushes with pleasure. Well, of course, they're not my personal collection. They belong to the village, he says. But I did select most of the recent items. This is the community's library, you see. I put up the private sign to stop people just wandering in from meetings in the other room. But it's really a public space. You scan the shelves. There's a sparse but respectable collection on mathematics and the sciences, passable sections on history and arts, and a shelf of literature. He has a few lowbrow novels tucked away in a corner with tatty copies of Bizarre Tales magazine. Quality does not always equate to popularity, I'm afraid. Winters gives you an apologetic smile. To take the time for some research in the library, go to 68. To leave while it is still light outside, go to 180. Shall we take a chance and leave after dark? I wonder. Yeah. I mean, we do want to explore this, and I do want to have some fun. So first of all, we're going to do something that's really classic Call of Cthulhu, namely library research. 68. Winters is happy for you to spend the rest of the afternoon in the study and offers you an upright but comfortable chair. You have enough time to pursue one line of research in depth, to read about the history of the area, to read about the festival, to read about something from the sciences, or to read some of the weird fiction. I want to know about that festival, because that is important. 81. You are not surprised to find there is no published work on Emberhead's festival. Winters pokes around and finds a cased monograph handwritten on yellowing paper by a Dr. Aniolovsky. An acquaintance of my father's, I believe, Winter says. The manuscript is somewhat difficult to read and you make slow progress. Aniolovsky speculates that the festival has its origin in pagan rites brought over by Celtic settlers. Well, this is the United States. There are no Celtic settlers in the United States, which celebrate the ancient festivals of Beltane, Samhain, Imbolc, and Lunasa. There is some discussion of the struggle between the seasons and a couple of oblique references to the alignment in Emberhead. Aniolovsky suggests that the meaning of the festival slowly changed around the turn of the century, so it would be 18th to 19th century. The monograph terminated mid-sentence at the end of page 28, just as it begins to discuss the modern practices. You ask Winters if he has the remaining pages. No, I'm afraid those have been misplaced, he says. Perhaps they are still in the library somewhere, but I must make the time for a thorough stocktake. Now go to 99. The afternoon wears on. You have not quite finished your reading when Winters glances out of the window and stands up. He clears his throat. Make a credit rating roll. Well, we have 30. We fail. We roll 72. So if you fail, go to 105. Here we are. I'm afraid I have some errands to run before dark, so I must close the library for today. I do hope you will return tomorrow afternoon if you're so inclined. You leave the building with Winters waiting as he locks up. You thank him for the coffee and the access to the library. He disappears off down an alley. You hope to be away from the village before tomorrow afternoon, but it's good to know that there is a place you can occupy yourself. So, okay. We go to 180. So far, I'm liking this. 180. There's a tantalizing map in the middle of the PDF, but I don't want to look at it until we are directed towards it. As the light fades, you return to the Ledbetter house and eat a light supper. May is unusually taciturn. Ruth's eyes flick to yours several times during the meal. There is an urgency there you cannot quite interpret. Afterwards, May ushers the girl into their room. You have been in Emberhead for barely one whole day and you already feel confined by it, both geographically and socially. The evening seems to offer little. To do some stargazing, go to 131. To attempt to speak to Ruth, go to 138. If you have a previous appointment, this is the time to follow it up. No, we don't. So I do want to try and speak to Ruth. Maybe I can find a way. I could hide in the closet. 138. Or I might traumatize the girl by doing so maybe not. In time, May returns to the kitchen and busies herself clearing up. To speak to Ruth, you will need to get May to leave for a short while. You help with the dishes and try to think of some ruse. In time, an idea comes and you ask about Silas and his friends in the village. May narrows her eyes. He knows Troy on the other side of the town, she says. Not sure I'd call them friends. More like an old feuding couple. But he probably spent last night at Troy's place. You ask May if she could visit Troy and ask if Silas mentioned any plans to return. May looks dubious. Right now, she asks. Without looking at your investigator sheet, decide how best to influence May by appealing to her emotions, by explaining how further delay threatens your career, or by trying to rush her into compliance. Then make a charm, persuade, or fast talk roll. I think I'll try persuade. I've no idea. I didn't really look at the sheet. And I rolled a 16. And on persuade, that is a fail because I only have 10. Okay. Would it have worked for charm? No. And it would not have worked for... Oh! I do have luck. It hasn't explained to me how to use luck, but it did give me that stat. So since I know how it works, I am going to use 6 points of luck, and I'm going to pass that test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So I'm going to pass this and go to 145. Because that's what you have luck for after all. Well, I suppose it'll only take a few minutes. May fetches a coat and heads out into the night. You give her time to get clear, then rap on the bedroom door. Nothing comes but silence. Then feet pad across the floor and the door opens a few inches. Ruth's eyes stare through the gap, glancing from left to right. You explain her mother has left the house and ask what has been bothering her. Those eyes flick up to stare at you. It's tomorrow, she whispers. Same as every year. They took my da. They'll take you if you let them. The conviction in her eyes is chilling. You press her. Who is she talking about? All of them. Everyone. They've been watching since you got here. You're marked. 1 year, when I'm older, they'll take me. Her voice is hollow. You hear footsteps approaching from outside. Ruth's eyes flash and the bedroom door slams. You turn back to drying the dishes. May enters the room. That man is a waste of time, she hisses and heads through to the bedroom. You may check mark the small box beside the skill you used. Well, no, because we didn't pass. Because I don't think you get to do this when you use luck. 157. The familiar surroundings of your guest room are becoming constrictive. The neat bed, small wardrobe and dressing mirror have the feel of a prison cell about them. What are you still doing here in Emberhead? Your new life is elsewhere. You lie on the bed and stare at a small crack in the ceiling. You turn over the day's events, thinking through the little details you spotted, but are certainly weary from the elevation and the fresh air. But do you still feel safe here? If you let yourself fall asleep, go to 224. If you stay awake, go to 230. I'm actually going to stay awake. 2:30. Sleep presses down on you. You blink it back and sit up, trying to think through your situation. Everything in Emberhead seems to be working to stop you leaving. Perhaps the answer is to strike out at first light, to walk as far and as fast as you can. You can always return for your possessions, and if you lose them, you have nothing so precious that it could not be replaced. A tiny creak draws your attention to the other side of the room. Slowly, almost silently, the doorknob is turning. To grab it and wrench the door open, go to 248. To pretend to be asleep, go to 254. Okay, I'm lying in bed. If I don't do anything, whoever's outside will come in. If I pretend to sleep, they will just take me away. However, if I get up and wrench the door open, I'm standing in front of them and I won't be able to get past them, so I am going to pretend to be asleep. This one is actually, I've played many Call of Cthulhu solo games. This is the only one that's really engaged me so far. The other ones have been terrible. 254. You slide onto the bed and lie on your side, eyes closed. The hinges creak as the door opens. There is a long pause. A footfall sounds inside the room, then another. The steps are careful and feminine. You give it a moment, then open one eye a crack. May crouches with her back to you. She is fiddling with something in the fireplace. To confront May, go to 260. To wait and see what happens, go to 266. I am going to confront her because obviously she is in my room. She didn't even knock. It could be that it's completely innocuous. Maybe she's just trying to make a fire, but I'm going to ask her. May jumps as you swing your legs off the bed and speak. I thought you might be cold, she stammers. Thought I would light the fire. She sweeps, and I sound Welsh, she sweeps something away with a hand behind her. You stare, but can see nothing in the grate. I shouldn't have disturbed you. I'm sorry. She stands to leave. You may make an intimidate roll. Yeah, we're gonna try this. And we rolled a 52. That's probably not good enough, and it isn't. And we don't have enough luck. Go to 32 if you fail. We failed. That's... yeah. I wonder what she was trying to do there. Anger flashes in May's eyes. Would you strike a woman in her own house? She snaps. 18 people live on this street. If I scream, every one of them will come running. She scrambles from the guest room and into her bedroom. You consider pursuing the issue but decide against it. To secure the door with a chair and get some sleep, go to 58. To stay awake all night, go to 52. I'm going to stay awake all night. 52. It's probably a bad idea because I'll probably be so knackered that I won't be able to do anything tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. 52. 52. You stare out the window and watch as the sun reaches the horizon, bathing the village in sickly orange. It has been a long night and you feel stiff and irritable. Well, yeah. You rub your eyes. A few minutes later, you hear May bustling in the kitchen. Then the front door opens and closes. Make a con roll. I rolled an 83. That's probably not enough. Yeah, no, it isn't. If you fail, your skill rolls today suffer a penalty. Roll the 10's percentage die twice and take the higher result. Okay. This does not apply to luck, sanity, or damage rolls. Now go to 64. Ledbetter kitchen is empty, although bread and eggs have been laid out for your breakfast. There is a note from May explaining that she has taken Ruth out for a few hours. If you were involved in a fight in the village last night and want to investigate the aftermath, there would have been a fight? God. 78. Well, I'm a doctor. You make a quiet circuit of the village, pausing in unobtrusive places to watch the villagers. It is rather busy for this time in the morning. Yawning locals stream back and forward along the roads, carrying bundles of split logs to the site of what you've heard referred to as the beacon. You see two figures already up in its superstructure, arranging the wood. The festival bonfire will be most impressive, but do you intend to stay to see it? You suspect by now that something is amiss here. While the villagers are distracted, you may do some illicit investigation, or you may simply leave town without looking back. We can search May Ledbetter's bedroom. We can go alone to the village hall. Take a closer look at the artisan's courtyard. I'd never heard of that one. Spy on the activity at the beacon. Or slip down to the east road and flee for good. Artisan's courtyard. That sounds like fun. 219. You approach around the back of the buildings in Emberhead's northwestern corner. By this time in the morning, you would expect activity in the artisan's courtyard, but the benches and anvils sit deserted. Your footsteps echo off the surrounding walls. One of the workshops is shut up and padlocked. You peek through the joints, but you can't see anything. To try to crack... No. To move onto another area, we're not going to try and break in. Oh, we could try and crack the padlock. Well, probably not, because we are simply not strong enough. We're going to go to 120. You feel a deepening unease about Emberhead and this day in particular. Once you have attempted the three of the options below, go to 98. So we've done the artisans. I think we should go to the village hall alone, 126. Keeping away from the streets, you skirt the northern cliffs and approach the village hall from the rear. It is close to the beacon and you will not be able to use the door unobserved. You check the windows. The one on the east side facing the beacon is bricked up. A shutter is loose on the westernmost window and you are able to ease it open and slide inside, closing the shutter behind you. You drop into the village meeting room and pad through, passing through dim shafts of light and listening to the excited chatter of the locals from the outside. The door opposite reads private. Hearing nothing from the other side, you turn the handle. Go to 133. The room is lined with books. In the corner is a small water closet and pantry. A quick survey of the rest of the room reveals little, so you turn to the bookcase. The dim light makes it difficult to read the spines. Is there anything useful here? Make a spot hidden roll. And I have a penalty die. So that's a 99. It's it's not even a miss only, it is a total failure. 140. No. That was wrong. We didn't pass. 133. Oh, if not, you go to 140. Okay, so if you don't succeed, you still find something. Tucked between two books, you find a detailed map of the area around Emberhead. It shows woodland contours and the 2 roads east and west. Although no other settlements are marked, this may prove useful if you do decide to leave today. The clatter of activity around the beacon seems to be building, and you flinch at every conversation that gets too close to the building's door. It feels the right time to retrace your steps, slipping away through the window. So we're going to go back to 120, and I think with the map we're going to run away. Because I don't want to die. So that would be slip down to the east road and flee for good. Go to 7. Let's see. Stay a while, stay forever. 10 points to Gryffindor if anyone knows where this quote comes from. As you approach the southern road that descends to the lower ridge, you see 4 villagers blocking the route. Great. With farm tools and clubs, you veer off and head towards the west road. Your heart sinks as you see exactly the same scene at the other exit from the village. You are trapped. Why am I not surprised? You try to talk your way past one of the guard groups, you go to 119, or you try to slip past in disguise, go to 125, or do you know another way to leave the village? I don't. Disguise? I have no way of disguising myself. Well, I'll talk to them. 119, because I mean, how am I going to disguise? I mean, I'm wearing my clothes and I'm the only stranger, so there's no way I can disguise myself. The southern group appears less sharp than the western group. You stride up to them and explain they are needed at the beacon. They look dubious. You offer to watch the road for them and hold out your hand for a pitchfork. Nah, you come with us, says the first one. His ape-like brow bends into a frown. Make an extreme fast talk roll. And we have no points in fast talk, and we have penalties. So yeah, 98, no. If you fail, go to 139. Yes, that's brilliant. These locals are not as stupid as you think. They grab you and march you back into the center of the village. Go to 108. Well, I never thought they were stupid. I just thought that they were terrible. The fading light from a narrow window tells you afternoon is giving way to evening. Your hands are shackled behind your back. Oh, God! They are quick, so you cannot even lie down on the rough bed. A woman you've not seen before comes in. Okay. Her face is wrinkled and her eyes are dull. They do not meet yours, but she puts a cup to your lips. That was quick. To accept the drink, go to 104. To reject it, go to 113. We're not accepting any drinks from somebody. You turn your face away, and when she tries again, you dash the cup from her hands using the side of your head. The clear liquid spills across the floor. The woman gives a half shrug and turns to leave the room. You shout after her, but she gives no reaction. You soon become thirsty. Go to 205. Brilliant. I think I may just have killed myself. I wonder if there is a way to escape. As the light fades outside, your little prison becomes dark. You can hear much activity around the building. Occasionally, an orange glow passes the window. The only comfortable position in the shackles seems to be to sit against the end of the bed with your arms hanging behind you. You need to concentrate and come up with a plan. There is clearly no escape from your bonds. But you do not know exactly what your captors want from you, but you cannot ignore the fact that they have spent the entire day constructing a massive bonfire. Go to 27. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that I know what they are going to do. They're going to burn me. But how to escape from them? You know, I did buy that little knife, but I'm pretty sure they took it. The door scrapes, wrenching your back into the moment. Orange light spills into the house from a blazing torch that is held at the threshold. Two large villagers step in and grab you. At least you assume they are villagers. They wear heavy black cloaks and their faces and hands are painted entirely black, save only for a red triangle centered on their left eye. You try to drag your legs, but they reach under your arms and lift you bodily from the bed. Outside, it seems that the whole village has congregated to see you. Well, I've got fans. Every single one has a blackened face with the red triangle motif. Torches sputter and spill fire. You struggle, but you can see physical resistance is hopeless. You are marched to the central street and turn to face the beacon. Go to 117. Okay. The procession down the approach is slow and formal, save when you sense weakness and yank at your captors. A chill touches you when you see the 3 human shapes carried ahead of you, draped in red cloth. Oh. The beacon looms larger and larger, its dreadful silhouette a black triangle pointing to the stars. A low drone begins amongst the cloaked figures. Unbidden, the word mourners comes to mind. Smoke from their torches makes you cough. You feel heat on your face. As you reach the cleared area around the beacon, 3 dancers break from the pack. Young girls swinging balls of fire in spectacular arcs. I would have liked to have seen that. Drawing circles in the night air. One by one, they draw close to you and touch your forehead with sooty fingers. Each kisses you 3 times, on the left cheek, right cheek, then forehead. Then they whisper in your ear. The smell of kerosene fills your nostrils. Make an appearance roll. Oh God. No. If you fail, go to 148. And of course I did use a penalty die. But both die rolls missed 148. Through your sacrifice, the village will be reborn, says the first dancer. You pass from earth to air for all our sakes, says the second. Through incandescence may you find rapture, says the third. Their dance weaves off and disappears behind the buildings. Oh joy. They're all crazy. 18. As you arrive beneath the beacon, 10 villagers close in on you. Working with surprising coordination, they immobilize you and lift you up the blackened iron stairs to the raised platform. You cannot help but shiver at the sight of the central framework, twisted from past blazes, and what you can now clearly see to be fastening points for a chain. None of the eyes meet yours as they lash you to the metal. The villagers sing now, and something rhythmic and ancient carved from odd syllables. A second group ascends to the beacon carrying the 3 red-draped bodies. With reverence, they arrange their burdens in a triangle around your feet. Then they withdraw, leaving you alone with the dead, shin-deep in a sea of kindling. Who are these dead people? I wonder, is one of them Silas? 33. Not long now. It seems the entire village is gathered around the beacon to watch you burn. Behind the face paint you recognize May Ledbetter. And yes, that is Silas, the coach driver standing at her side. Oh, fuck you. The audacity and scale of the deception staggers you. A man steps up on a dais and raises his hand with quiet authority. The frame of his spectacles obscures the red triangle on his face. That's the dude from that... So we draw here together again on this night as we do each year, and we give thanks to the one who will preserve the village against the fire of the void. You will be taken by the ones from above in our stead. Your death will bring life to our streets and bounty to our fields. It will safeguard our children, our elders alike for another year. We salute you. He bows his head. All around the beacon, bearers step forward and lift their torches to the edge of the raised platform. A ring of tiny flames flickers up around you and around the perimeter. As they wink, the singing of the villagers drops into an unearthly rhythm. To throw all your remaining strength against the bonds, go to 44 to wait and see what happens. I'm not going to wait and see what happens. I'm going to use my strength. And I roll a 95 and a 95. Yeah, that didn't work. You're tired. You fail. If you fail, go to 40. The flames snake across the kindling, catching and rising. Smoke rises and it becomes difficult to see the villagers. The 3 bodies surrounding you catch fire, blazing With sooty red flames, you begin to cough as the smoke enters your lungs and fight down the urge of panic. If you have learned a strange chant and wish to try it, this is the moment. Otherwise, go to 65. Okay. Maybe I should have gone to Mabel's room. Flames lick at your legs. Your eyes water. You are shrouded in smoke. It might be your imagination, but you think you can feel a slight give in the chains. You throw yourself against them, giving no thought to how they bite into your wrists. Take 1d6 hit points. We take 2. If this reduces you to 0, you collapse and are burned to death. No, that's not the case. We are now at 10. Otherwise, you make a strength roll. And we fail. But we're going to use luck. Because we only fail by 3. So we pass. 93. Desperation lends you strength, and you yank at what you guess to be the weak point of the chain. It breaks. You throw the chain off, stumbling across one of the red-shrouded corpses, heading away from the watching villagers. You cough. Your hair and eyebrows smolder. Take 1d6 hit points. We take 4. So we're now at 6. Of damage from the fire. If this reduces you to 0, you collapse. If not, and it's the end, but we don't, it's 137 because we still have enough hit points left. You leap from the conflagration on the far side of the beacon. Your heart lurches momentarily at the sight of the sheer drop beneath you, but you land a few inches short of the edge. You roll to extinguish your burning clothes. Your lungs feel singed. Everything hurts. The chant of the villagers gathers in intensity. You peer around to the beacon. They don't seem to have noticed your absence amidst the billowing smoke. Most of them are staring into the sky. You crawl as rapidly as you can for the cover of the nearest building. Go to 156. I'm really liking this. With the villagers assembled at the beacon, the streets are empty and you are able to pad away from the blaze. You must get out of town before they finish. The chanting seems to accelerate as you round the corner of the southern road. Here, parked against the side of the general store, you have your first piece of luck since reaching Emberhead. A bicycle! You learn to ride one of these in Providence. You settle into the saddle. Your burnt flesh protests at the contact. To wait and observe what's going on at the beacon? No. To ride out of town immediately? Go to 185. We're not going to stay. We're not that crazy. I mean, we are crazy, but not that crazy. 185. It takes a moment to recapture the skill of riding the bicycle, but after the first turn to the east, there's a long downhill road out of Emberhead. You hear screams and crackles above you, but concentrate on balancing and working the pedals in your weakened state. You've had too many hopes dashed in this abomination of a village. You keep your head down and ride away. 20 minutes later, with no signs of pursuit, you stop for a breather at the top of a hill. You can see Emberhead rise in the distance. The entire village appears to be ablaze. The dark column of smoke above it will be visible for many miles, but if the village is as isolated as it seems, help is unlikely to arrive in time. You watch the place burn for 5 minutes, then you mount the bicycle again and ride towards civilization and dawn. Is the village burning? Or does it just look like it's burning? Okay, well, congratulations, you have survived this adventure. You may keep your investigator sheet and use it in another Call of Cthulhu scenario. If you have check-marked the small box beside any skills, you will have a chance to improve them through experience. The end. Well, that was actually quite nice. I mean, I really liked this one. I almost bought Alone Against the Frost until I realized that it's actually a revamped version of Alone Against the Wendigo, and I didn't really like that one at all because that was even more pointless than the other solo adventures for Call of Cthulhu. But this one I really liked. I can recommend it. It's free to download. And I think it's a really nice way of you know, getting new players involved. It's not too mythos based, so you know, there are no great old ones, and it's a lot more interesting. And it's well written, it plays really quickly, and it's enjoyable. So I hope you enjoyed this too, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.